Hello and welcome to Socialism Survival Podcast. My name is Alex, and in this podcast number 2, I will talk on healthcare. I dedicate this podcast to my mom. Before continuing with today's subject, I'd like to invite you to my website. It is www.socialismsurvival.com. And now back to my today's topic. Healthcare, medicine. It's probably the most sensitive talk in America right now. Tea parties, town hall meetings, president speeches. Everything revolves around healthcare. Should people have freedom to decide who will be their doctor, what kind of treatment they will have, or we should trust government to make that decision for us? And that decision is simply your life or death, your freedom or your slavery. When you go out and protest, your government thinks that all you people want just another compromise. Listen, Americans, that's not what you need. You don't need any compromise. You don't need just few corrections in government plan. I remember one preacher told a story about Satan. Once upon a time, there lived a very good man. He had beautiful house, wonderful family. And one day, he heard a knock on the door. And he opened the door. Whom he sees there? Satan. You know what that man did? He slammed his door right in Satan's face as hard as he could. Another time, Satan pretended to be a poor man, a beggar, and he comes again to that man's door and knocks again. When man opens the door, he sees that poor man, and he asks him, "What do you need, poor man?" "Yes, I am poor man, but I don't really need anything. All I have is this nail, and all I need is just to put this nail somewhere so I could keep it safe." Good man, full of compassion, lets beggar in and allows him to stick that nail in the wall right next to the door. Wanting to be even more compassionate, good man allows beggar to use that nail in his house anytime he passes by. Well, good man still owns this nice, big, beautiful house, and it is not a big loss if that poor man from time to time could use nail in his house. In a few months, beggar-Satan gains more and more trust of that household members. He feels himself as at home. Well, he feels like that home is actually his. Yes, he likes that house, but all he owns there is that a rusty nail. So next time he comes there, he brings a bag with him with few dead birds inside, and he just hangs that bag on his nail and leaves. In few days, smell from that bag becomes so poisonous that family is forced to leave their beautiful home and look for shelter. And then, of course, Satan comes and occupies whole house. You see how pricey was that compassionate compromise for good man and his family? So it is for you, America, with that universal socialistic health care. Yes, I actually know it as hell care. Even before conceiving the idea of this podcast, I began writing a book, and one chapter's title is Don't Die Mama, or Free Medicine. Today I will share with you excerpts from this chapter as is, unedited. Here is the story of my mom, our mom. Only 42 years old, she was mom of 9 and pregnant with her 10th child, our little sister we never saw. Wonderful, loving mom, she loved to sing. Her smile radiated joy and peace that brought a supernatural healing to many broken-hearted, especially her own family. When our dad would get angry and was about to punish one or some of us, only her smile, combined with calm words, would save us. She was the woman of faith, whose uncompromised position would inspire and encourage us, her children, as well as many others. But it also angered many communists, especially our school teachers and regional KGB overseers. While with one hand, Soviet state honored her with medals of motherhood, it raised other hand with surgical knife over her womb and eventually her life. Expecting her 10th child, she created a serious dilemma for the Soviet imperial regime. If that child was born, they would have to give her Golden Motherhood Medal, along with national recognition as a mother hero title bearer. But how could they declare as a hero someone who gave birth to 10 enemies of the Soviet state? How could they use the Communist Party brainwashing media to praise someone who was a member of underground religious opposition, teaching her children to love God and resist atheism? One sunny day in May 1978, our mom, being 7 months pregnant, came home from work earlier because she had some unusual tingling sensation in her belly and decided to go to the hospital. I remember visiting her there with my brother. Her room was on the ground floor and the window was half open. Because we arrived there after visitors' hours, therefore not allowed inside, we just raised our heads and our voices, and in a few moments she was there, warming us with her smile. It was a simple mommy to kids conversation, sharing how we all were doing and how we missed each other. She said she felt better and hoped to be home soon. It is time to go home, boys. Don't let Daddy worry too much for you. We left reluctantly, promising to be back tomorrow. If only we knew that we saw her smile and heard her voice for the last time. Next day we came earlier, hoping to get inside the hospital, to hug and kiss our mom, to give her homemade food we brought with us. However, we were told to go home because she was moved to the intensive care and that area was restricted for visitors. When later our dad went there, Mom was unconscious, but the nurse told him that when Mom regained consciousness for a few moments, approximately the time I was there with my brother, she was calling two names, as if she wanted to say something to two persons she loved, our dad and me. What was that she wanted to tell us? Did she get unwanted treatment that brought her into that condition? Or maybe, as we believed, she had a vision of our future and she wanted to warn us of something. Why only me out of 9 children? We'll never know. The same night, our dad went to see Mom. There he was told that because Mom's condition was worsening, they decided to transfer her to the regional hospital. He was allowed to stay with her in ambulance, but Mom didn't respond to his pleadings. At least he knew where exactly she was transferred. The next day, he took me there. First, doctors and nurses categorically said no to our request for seeing Mom in her room. But because of our persistent crying, we finally were allowed in. There she was, our dear Mom, laying on a single bed with tubes in her mouth and nose, totally unconscious, her eyes closed. We placed our hands on hers and prayed. We pleaded that she would open her eyes and speak to us. We needed her so much, but first we needed a sign to keep our hope alive. Sadly, that hope was taken away from us. We were told to leave. At night, doctors performed a cesarean section. As they explained, trying to save either Mom or baby. That night she died. And with her died our hope to see her and our little sister, the one we never saw, we never touched. They didn't even give us her body. I don't know if anyone cared, but I was really upset that our aborted sister wasn't properly buried together with our mom. The autopsy report that we received didn't show us the true cause of Mom's, let alone her baby, death. Instead, it raised a wave of questions and worries inside our wounded hearts, as we knew that Mom was neither diagnosed with those problems we found in the report, nor she ever complained about it. But we couldn't go anywhere demanding another truth. Everything was controlled by Communist Party, healthcare, courts, lawyers, judges, media. According to famous Soviet slogan, party was the mind, the honor, and the conscience of our epoch. It was their goddess who would allow us to dishonor her with our demands. We were left with our own conclusions based on the Soviet reality we always knew and always resisted. Any of the following scenarios of Mom's death would be true reflection of what really happened. Let's look and analyze it, remembering that this is just one story out of millions that were tortured by socialism and its free health care. Let us think about the destiny of this great country, destiny of your children, your mom and your dad and yourself. Think if you really want to give up your most precious of all rights, the right to be a free man and free woman. Look at your hand that filled that ballot in November 2008. Why? You'll understand later. So let's see scenario number 1. Let's assume that autopsy report was correct. We lived in a city known as a huge industrial center of the USSR. Massive plants, factories owned by the state, produced plain and stainless steel, cast iron, aluminum, titanium, cars, transformers, airplane engines, you name it. And dangerous, uncontrolled pollution. Government didn't take good care of cities' ecology, and as a result, it slowly, day by day, destroyed my mom's organs and eventually killed her. Glorious Soviet Medicare lacked good diagnostics and preventive care. Therefore, damages to internal organs were discovered too late in mortuary lab. Scenario number 2 includes number 1 plus some conspiracy. Socialist state plays its games with people's lives. It allows pollution as the continuation of Darwin's evolution for controlling population. Only strongest will survive. Weak and sick will surely die. Scenario number 3 includes scenarios number 1, number 2, and even more conspiracy. I know The word conspiracy cuts off your ears, my American friends, almost like N-word. But you need to listen in order to survive, because the story I'm telling you is not a myth, but bitter reality of socialism that some of us survived, but many didn't. Atheism, raised on the leaven of Darwinism, was at the center of Soviet brainwashing propaganda machine. God haters, called atheists, were hired in great numbers and highly paid to travel around the country and spill their venom against God's children and their faith. Churches, as well as synagogues, were either destroyed or converted into secular clubs, museums, or simply storages. Believers were left with only three choices. First, renounce God, embracing atheism. Second, affiliate with treacherous, government-compliant and controlled religious organization. Or third, go underground, expecting even more fierce and violent persecution. Our family was a part of that uncompromising, God-loving underground, being the same time as a thorn in communists' eyes that hindered them from seeing clearly their bright utopian future, and therefore had to be removed from otherwise almost perfect society. Aimed with such purpose, godless Soviet regime and its jackals consistently used their famous tools: re-education, repression, slander, and murder. Children were taken from their parents, who were accused in planning human sacrifices of their own kids. If someone despised atheists' propaganda and kept preaching God's word, he was direct target of Gulag suppliers. Gulag had double role: to kill some, while at the same time to dispirit others, destroying the spirit of resistance. In addition to religious activity, we as a family were involved in the immigration movement, openly proclaiming our goal to immigrate to any non-communist country, thus posing even bigger threat to otherwise perfect system. So, as the part of scenario number 3, our mom was killed to break our spirit and to quench our anti-Soviet activism. Well, no matter which of these scenarios actually happened, let me as always be clear, Товарищ Комиссар. Your healthcare plan stinks as that of USSR, with millions of unburied corpses left on the streets of the Ukrainian cities during artificial hunger called Golodomor, created by diligent students of Marx, Lenin, and Stalin. And yes, you can name your plan after your buddy Teddy. Isn't he the one who left young lady Mary Jo dying in the water? The way he cared for her health Same way his namesake plan will care for you, my American friends, if you will give up to the pressure from the left. The only way for you to survive is this. Do not depend on empty healthcare promises. Take care of your own mind, body, and spirit, because only having this trinity in good health, you'll have a chance to survive. Hard socialist tyranny will come, or even if it won't. There are two important things that helped Soviet people to survive during 74 years of socialistic oppression, and I believe will be helpful for you too, as the very purpose of this podcast is helping you to survive socialism and its threats. First is the Bible. Yes, I said Bible. Communists persecuted, confiscated, and destroyed Bible because it offered support, answer, and comfort to the great number of people oppressed by the regime, while communists thought their party became God and the only answer to everything. I know the power of God's word, and from now on we will have Bible verse of the week in this show. Of course, if it ever becomes daily show, we will have Bible verse of the day. And this podcast, I want my little boy to share with you. Come on, son.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1.
Great job. Great verse too. Thank you so much. Think how it fits here. We are in the beginning. It's only second podcast and part one on healthcare. Also, in the beginning of American period of my life, my first job was healthcare related. Next important survival thing I want to share is Russian humor in a form of jokes or anecdotes. Many such jokes were about a Communist Party, Politburo, and all their leaders. I remember as boys and girls we were getting together as a company, and sharing good jokes with each other. And there we had our freedom of speech. Nobody could stop us. Things that we could not say publicly were included in such form of humor. So it played its role in our mental health as some kind of antidote against Soviet brainwashing. Remember this, one joke per day keeps mental illness away. Disclaimer for FDA. This statement cannot be used as a treatment for liberal mental patients and therefore should only be viewed as a dietary supplement for healthy conservatives, independents, or libertarians. Having this cleared, here is our joke of the week. Secretary General Leonid Ilyich Brezhnev speaks at Soviet Communist Party convention. Suddenly he faints and falls. Security and doctors take him away. Politburo elder gets to the microphone. Dear comrades, Leonid Ilyich urgently needs your blood. Who will volunteer to donate? Deadly silence. No hands up. Elder throws down a little feather and, and continues. Whom this feather touches will be taken out for blood donation. Everyone looks up, and only thing you can hear is Thank you. Was it really funny? And with this, I'll conclude my weekly podcast. Remember, it's not the end, just the beginning. I plan to have 1 or 2 more podcasts on healthcare. I'd like to thank Jack from Survival Podcast and Rob and Mike from Preparedness for inspiring me to take my voice to a microphone. Thanks everyone for listening. Don't forget to check my website www.socialismsurvival.com. I'd like to see you on my forums there, as well as on Twitter and Facebook. God bless you. God bless America. Rest in peace, mommy.